Hi, welcome back to Binkerbell's Yarning. So today is Wednesday. Usually we learn Wednesday, and we're gonna move forward on that in a second. We're actually gonna talk about weighted blankets, so I know that's a big thing right now, and they're fantastic for what they're designed for. That definitely helps with anxiety and sleep issues. And there have been studies that show that children that are on the autistic spectrum, especially those that are at the higher end towards Asperger's, do benefit greatly from them. They have a better sleep schedule, and it helps with their moods to have a good sleep. So that's fantastic. Anyways, so this week so far, Monday was a holiday. That's why I wasn't on. It was a statutory holiday, so I had the kids home and all of that wonderful stuff that goes with it. And then yesterday I had to go into town, so that was the whole day gone, especially considering there was also a storm. So what would normally take me 45 minutes took me almost 2 hours. So that really sucked. So here we are today, and we're going to talk about weighted blankets. So I've actually started one. I initially crocheted the top, as you can see. Right, it's just front post crochet with doubles in between. And then I transferred over to knitting needles, just because it's easier for me and my hands to knit it as it increases in weight than to crochet it. Just because when you're making a weighted blanket, you want to make your stitches as tight as possible so that you maintain a good weight level. So I usually recommend, well, for this one I recommend, well, here, let me get this. Okay, so I have 3 strands here. I have 1 strand of Caron cotton cake. Now, cotton is a great material to use because it is washable, which is always good, washable and dryable. It is moisture absorbent, so it's great for a blanket, but it also has weight to it, right? So they are quite heavy cotton does get quite heavy once you've worked it into a fabric. On top of that, I have a strand of Caron skinny cakes in the rainbow. Remember I was telling you guys that I was working with the rainbow? Love it. Absolutely love it. And because my daughter is huge on rainbows, it's perfect. And then because she's a very tactile person, so she's a toucher, she's a feeler. She likes to touch things and feel them. And so I have a strand of Caron latte cake in here. Now this is just a straight gray. And as you can see, the gray so it's a gray cotton and a gray latte, and then the rainbow. And as you can see, with the grays, you can actually have the rainbow popping, which is really nice. So with these 3 strands, normally you would look at using a 10 millimeter because it's equal to a super bulky thread or super bulky yarn. That being said, for the crochet part, I actually used the 6.5 millimeter. That gave nice tight stitches, right? And I did it in the round, so it's a double thick blanket. Right? I know it looks like a mess right now because it's all twisty twirly, but I did join it to form a ring. I have no idea how many stitches I did. I just made a chain twice as long as I wanted the blanket to be, and then I took into account the fact that when you crochet, it shrinks a little bit, like your chain will shrink a little bit, whereas with knitting, when you cast on, it actually grows. So that's another thing altogether. It's another day. So I have no idea how many stitches I crocheted. I just went as wide as I wanted it, and then I doubled it to form a ring, and then I just crocheted in the round, and then I transferred to knitting needles, and I'm knitting in the round. Now, a trick when you're knitting in the round, when you're crocheting in the round with a really long chain, if you chain 5 or 10, take your hook out of the loop that you're working with, insert it into the first loop that you made, like the first chain that you made, and then back into the loop that you're working with, your chain will actually stay straight, right? So you have the chain attached to the back of the hook, and then you're continuing to build more chain from the front of your hook, and then you can simply pull the last loop through the first loop to slip stitch to join. If you guys are a little unsure on that one, I can do up a video for you as a quick demonstration. Fortunately, right now, my stand, like my phone holder stand thing that I use to record, is MIA. So pretty sure it's in one of my daughter's rooms, which is usually where it ends up. Because I like to watch TV because it's a suspended tripod, so they like to watch their phones on it. Anyways, totally off topic. So at the moment, I can't do a demonstration for it because I have one hand, because my other one's actually holding the camera. So, weighted blankets. Normally, weighted blankets are, like, their weights are specifically calculated to the size and the weight of the person that is using it, as opposed to the size of the bed that it'll be going on. So for younger children, usually between the ages of 4 and 10, you don't want to have a weighted blanket that's any more than 3 or 4 pounds. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when 3 or 4 pounds is laying across the body, it feels heavier than it actually is. So that being said, take into consideration the size of the person that you are making it for, or the location that it's going to be in. So if it's for yourself, so we'll start with men. The average man, adult man, runs anywhere between 180 pounds and 250 pounds, depending on height. Now, for a man that size, you're actually only looking about 8 pounds. And that is sufficient for them to get the benefits from the weighted blanket. If you go much higher than 10 pounds for a man that size, it's bordering on too heavy, which actually disrupts sleep because it reduces the ability to breathe. I know that sounds weird because you're not actually choking, but the weight on the body and the chest compresses the lungs and it reduces the ability to breathe when you get above 10 pounds for a man that size. Women, on the other hand, you don't want to really go much more than between 6 and 8 pounds, for the same reason. Because women tend to be softer, like literally softer than men. Now, that's not everybody. But because of the way that women are generally built, they tend to have softer bodies. So putting a 10-pound blanket on an average sized woman is going to be way too heavy, right? If you're not entirely sure, try laying down and putting a 10-pound bag of potatoes on your chest and decide how comfortable that is. If it's comfortable, go for it. Make a 10-pound blanket. But remember that weight is distributed across the body, so you have to take that into consideration. So children between the ages of 4 and 10, you're looking at 2 or 3 pounds. 10 and up, so teenagers, you're looking at about 5 pounds. And then adults, you're looking at, depending on if it's men, but for the teenagers and the kids, it doesn't matter if they're male or female. It really doesn't. It's just the children sizes. So for a woman, you're looking between 5 and 8 pounds. And for a man, you're looking between 8 and 10 pounds. People who are significantly larger, obviously they are able to benefit from heavier blankets, but do not go over 15 pounds, because a 15-pound blanket, we're looking at somebody who's, in the 300-pound range, and that's even pushing it for them, according to the calculations that doctors have come up with. So, materials is very key when it comes to making a blanket. Wool is obviously going to be heavier, so you want to take that into consideration. Read your labels, see how many pounds or ounces or grams or whatever the weight is listed. So this particular one, the latte cake, is 250 grams or 8.8 ounces. So if you add however many you need to make whatever pattern it is that you're working on, you calculate up your grams or your ounces and figure out how heavy your blanket is going to be when converting to pounds or kilograms. When you're working, if you're looking for a blanket that's going to be significantly heavy in the pattern and you don't want to do a double a double thick blanket, look at stuff like Sophie, or some of the other stained glass that are out there. I think there's several of the Time series out on Ravelry, which is they're beautiful, beautiful blankets. But ones that have surface stitching or have a series of tight, intricate stitches with multiple stitches per stitch formation, so like fans. Another great one is the Alpine stitch. So that's a wonderfully thick, warm, heavy blanket. And that's what I had started doing in the round, right? But I converted to just doing a ridging instead. So the Alpine stitch is it's a series of double crochets and front post cut crochets in one series. So you alternate double crochet. Well, your first row obviously is going to be double crochets. Well, not obviously because I didn't tell you that. But the Alpine stitch, if you can actually go back in my videos, and I do give a demonstration on how to do it. So it's first row is double crochets, and then you do a row of front post, double crochet, and then double crochet alternating. And then you do a row of single crochets, and then you go back to doing your front posts and your double crochets, but you're going to do your front post in the double crochet from 2 rows below, and then you're going to do your double crochet that would match up with the front post crochet that's in 2 rows below. Again, if that doesn't make any sense, go back in my videos. There is a demonstration on how to do that. So that's another fantastic stitch for weighted blankets. So yeah, just troll Ravelry for nice heavy ones. Again, layered stitching or surface stitching is a great one. There's also a mock plaid or mock tartan, I think it's called, for knitting. So what you do is you just knit however big you want it to be, usually in a striping pattern, and then you take a length of yarn with your yarn needle and you weave it in and out of your knit stitches in straight lines from top to bottom, and you get this really cool pooling effect on it. It's like I'm pretty sure it's a mock tartan it's called. Anyways, I'll post a link to one of the patterns, to one of those patterns in the description for you, just so that you can check that out as well. It's a really fun one to make anyways. So, weighted blankets. Have fun with it. Lots of materials on the market. Again, back to what I was, because I went on a tangent there. Back to materials. Wool is going to definitely be heavy, but be careful because wool is also extremely warm, and it doesn't absorb very well. So that's why I suggest going with cotton for your weighted thread. So that's the thread that's going to make it heavy, and then mixing in an acrylic of some kind. Just it gives it the washability that a blanket needs. So throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, no special treatment needed, because these blankets are going to see a lot of use, and often they'll just use often people will just use the blanket as opposed to adding it to their bedding. So it definitely has to be washable. Absolutely has to be washable. So, like I said, you can use wool. Acrylic tends to be a little too light, just the nature of the product itself and the nature of the extrusion process that they use. It's much lighter material. There's no reason why you can't use an extra bulky yarn and then adding a cotton or a wool thread to that. Not thread, but I wouldn't go any lower than a DK weight. But a worsted works best. So if you want to do a super bulky acrylic and you add a wool worsted to that, then you'll get a nice heaviness, but you'll still get the warmth from the wool, but it won't be as warm because you have the acrylic strand in there. That gives you the light airiness that you need in order for a comfortable blanket. Yeah. So that being said, have fun making your weighted blankets, I'd love to see progress. I would absolutely love to see your projects. You can drop them over on my Facebook page, Binkerbell's Yarning, in the group there, or you can email them to me, and if I get lots of them in, well, even if I get one of them in, I'll still post it into video so that everybody can see your absolutely gorgeous work. I love seeing what you guys are working on. Love it, love it, love it. I love the creativity that you guys have and the artistic skill that you guys have. You gorgeous, 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 gorgeous stuff that you guys make. So if you're making a weighted blanket, if you're making just a blanket, or if you just want to share your current work in progress or previous works that you have done, I would absolutely love to see them, and I'd love to share them here so that our entire family can see the beautiful work that you do and really appreciate each other as artists, because you are all artists and you are all beautiful and you all do beautiful work. So Binkerbell's Yarning, remember the S on Binkerbell's Yarning at gmail.com. It's in the description down below. So email me your beautiful pictures or post them on the Facebook group. Again, Binkerbell's Yarning Facebook group, just so that our whole family can see what beautiful, beautiful stuff you do. All right, so that's it for me. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.